Now hold it. You didn't ask how we want this to look, you guys. Come on. You don't give a shit that I'm going all the way back to Toronto.
Like all the camera angles and,
No, we want it in focus. We want an audio check.
No.
I have all your names. You may want to come back to Toronto and work for real money one day.
work again?
Yeah, where they pay you in Toronto now, where they pay you in loonies. That's a new Canadian dollar.
Oh, is that true? Seriously? They call them loonies?
Loonies.
No.
That's the coin.
Yeah.
Loonies.
It's the coin of
You
the
think
realm.
it's all in L.A., don't you? You think it's all in L.A. It isn't.
No, there's a big Canadian influx. Has been for a
Sure,
long
at the
time.
moment Norman Jewison left, they had all that space.
And Wayne and Schuster.
At Wayne and Schuster. Rob Reiner is with us. And the movie is When Harry Met Sally. I want to tell you something. We've had a conversation before. We can sit and talk about This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, Sure Thing, Princess Bride. You have always delivered, but you have never delivered, in my opinion, anything as warm, wonderful, and for me, important as When Harry Met Sally. I love the movie.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, through Nora Ephron.
Yeah.
What was the first meeting? How did you first meet Nora Ephron, who wrote the screenplay?
It's interesting because a couple of years before I met her, this is going back 6, 7 years ago, I had wanted to make a film about men and women and about I had been thrown back into the dating world after having gotten divorced and making a complete and utter mess of it. And I thought, well, there's some fun in here, and there's certainly, people have done films like this before, but I wanted to know what was my take on it, and I was interested to see if we could make a film on it. Then 2 years later, I met Nora in New York about another project. Andy Scheinman and I had a little production company. We met Nora and we presented an idea for a film to her, which she was not interested in. And then I just casually mentioned that I'd been thinking about doing a film about whether or not men and women could be friends, and if they could, was a sexual component always part of it, and if there was, and sex got into it, would it destroy the friendship? And she got very excited. And at that point, we decided to try to fashion a screenplay, using these themes. And then she interviewed me and interviewed Andy and dug deep into our sordid dating lives.
Another inquiring mind, Rob.
Yes, she was an inquiring mind, and all of those things wound up in the screenplay and in the film.
There's something else I have to tell you. You have made New York City look so romantic, so clean, so safe, that I thought you'd film this movie in Toronto.
Yeah, no, I mean, Woody Allen certainly has done that in the past. I mean, he's romanticized New York quite a bit. The feeling that we had was that this is a film about people falling in love or people finding each other, and those are the images that people have when they are falling in love. I mean, they don't see the garbage, they don't see the dirt and the grime, and they see beautiful things, so that's what we try to do.
You know, the other wonderful thing, sitting in front of you and being able to look into your eyes and tell you, is that everything that's in this movie may be a compilation of things that have happened to you or Andy Scheinman or whomever, and whatever Nora Ephron worked into the screenplay. But perhaps the most magical thing about When Harry Met Sally is that you met someone making this movie, and you are now, one assumes, a happily married man.
Yeah, I mean, it's so bizarre. I mean, it's like, this whole film is about people meeting each other and how they fall in love. And when we wrote the script, I was not with anybody, and I couldn't figure out how Harry got to the end where he would want to be. What was the thing that made him take that leap to be with Sally? And I couldn't figure it out because I hadn't lived it. I mean, everything else that happened in the film I had been through and lived it, and certainly could relate to and could show it in some way. I said, but it seemed false. I said, how does Harry make that step? How does he make that leap? And then, long about, it was, I guess, the early part of October, which is towards the end of the film, the end of the filming, I met Michelle, and all of a sudden, 7 months later, I'm getting married. So, I mean, it's like amazing.
There's another thing. Meg Ryan is wonderful.
Yeah,
as is Bruno Kirby, Carrie Fisher. Why didn't you just give the role of Harry to your friend Billy Crystal, right off the top? What kind of a game were you playing him saying, Billy, I had to see other people first?
Yeah, it wasn't a game. It's a process I go through on every film. I have to really explore every possibility, particularly when thinking about you working with a friend, because you don't want to give a friend a part in a film just because he's a friend, because ultimately if he's not perfect for the part and not just, and not going to be great in the role, it could put a strain on the friendship. And I didn't want to do that because Billy and I go back too long. We're too close friends. So once I had gone through my process of meeting people and eliminating, then when I came around to Billy, it was also the fear that he was going to say, I don't want to do this, and reject me, so that would have been awkward. But once I, came to deciding on him and then he accepted doing the part, then it was really great. I mean, it was a great experience, and it deepened our friendship, which is really the best thing that came out of the film, aside from the fact that I met my wife. Which was,
Indeed. Speaking of friendship and meaningful friendship, has Richard Dreyfuss seen the movie?
No, I don't think he has. I mean, we had, I don't, when this show is broadcast, he might have seen it by then. But
did you ever talk to Richard Dreyfuss about doing Harry?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I had 3 meetings with Rick. I go back to high school with Rick, and he had some great ideas for the character, and he had some great ideas for the film. But if it was taking the film in another direction, and a direction I didn't really want to take it. So we kind of just parted amicably. He wanted to do a certain kind of film, I wanted to do this film. So we said, it's not going to work out. Why strain this thing? So he left, but he had a couple of really good ideas.
What I like about this, the way you talk about the friendships with Billy Crystal, with Richard Dreyfuss. And I think of the wonderful story that both of you have told about being kids together and how you would watch The Tonight Show and you would fantasize what you thought was the idea of success and how you would handle being interviewed, how you would handle explaining your success and your life and your career. And Richard Dreyfuss says, and you know what? Getting it isn't at all like imagining having it.
Oh, no. The fantasy is always greater than the reality. Rick Dreyfuss and Albert Brooks and myself and Larry Bishop, there were 4 of us that were very close friends in high school, and we used to sit around and fantasize about what it would be like to be successful and to be working in the business and to be acting and writing and directing and all that. And no, the fantasy is always greater than the reality. The reality is hard work.
Let me tell you something. The reality of When Harry Met Sally is reassuring and a pleasure. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Come back to Toronto.
I will, Brian.
All right.
Okay.
We'll be waiting. Norman Jewison wants you to speak at the Canadian Centre for Advanced Film Studies.
All right. I will.
Settled.
Okay.
Rob Reiner. Thank you. I was paying attention.
Are they giving you
But
that?
only with this eye.
Are they giving you this?
Had a wonderful, wonderful time.